There, we had to fix it. We had the phone turned around. But welcome back to the Northeast Florida Surf Fishing Forecast. We were not around Monday, and earlier Tuesday we were out of town and we just got back. But when we say out of town, 30 minutes away in Volano, but we'll get to that in a minute. If you're gonna fish, I would say Wednesday and Thursday will be your days, guys. We're looking at northeast winds on Wednesday, 10 to 12, maybe a little bit higher, but if it's in the 10 to 12 mile range, it should be nice and clean. And on Thursday, it's looking like southeast. What's up, James? Southeast, 10 to 12. And then Friday, yeah, Buckness, thank you. Good to see you on the chat. On Friday, south winds. And looking ahead, we'll see if, we're coming into hurricane season now, guys. So those who live in Florida know exactly what we're dealing with and how the news will start pumping out all these models and getting people panicky. But if the models that are popping up right now, especially the Euro, which is usually the most accurate, it's showing possibly a system cutting across southern Florida and going northeast. And it looks like if it happens, I believe Saturday or Sunday, we're going to have some northeast winds, 20 to 35 miles an hour, probably huge surf. But that's not a bad thing, guys. If you've been down to the beach lately in the northeast Florida area, we need some change. There's a lot of flat areas right now. There are some sloughs if you walk up and down the beach and find them. But for the most part, we've been in sort of a stagnant period with a lot of west and south winds. Something like that could really create some nice new areas to fish and maybe put some mullet on the beach for us and just get things moving. And if it's northeast winds, push all of that seaweed south and out. I know that our friends that surf fish to the south of us, they have been dealing with seaweed, it seems, nonstop with the persistent southeast winds. And I've just seen a few patches up here, nothing too bad. It seems like when we really get it bad up here, it's a lot of straight east wind, 15 to 20 miles an hour for a while. But the water temperatures, unfortunately, I saw today 81 degrees in Jack's Beach. I saw 82 in Flagler, Fernandina 80. If you're new to surf fishing, what does that mean? Well, it means fishing will be better early in the morning and late in the afternoon, especially when we get days where the water's fairly clean and those fish just tend to disappear in the middle of the day a lot of times. Now, if you find some structure to fish, that's different. They'll hang around the structure or a deep hole or deep slough. But for the most part, those fish tend to relax, find the AC out there in deeper water, sort of like we do in the middle of the day. We like to catch some nice cool air. And that's been my experience, especially pier fishing June and July and August. There are a lot of nice fish around, but those fish are usually around first thing in the morning. And as the sun is about to go down, usually like the last 2 hours before the sun goes down, they'll start to make their way into the shallows again and we'll start catching them. It's pretty much that way in the surf. Seen a few good reports over the weekend. Still some pompano around. I know I talked to a buddy in North Carolina. They're wearing them out up there now. So sounds like the bigger schools have definitely made their way up north. Some good whiting. Saw some good whiting caught the last few days. And a lot of spots and croakers. And of course, the stingrays, sharks, and catfish are all making their presence felt as well. When we're in Volano, if anyone's down that way and fishes a lot, it is sand flea galore. Even though they have pumped sand onto the beach down there, guys, the sand fleas are thick, as well as a ton of coquina clams. So there's some big whiting in that area right now. The water is beautiful there over the weekend. And same thing in Jack's. Sand fleas are everywhere at Jack's Beach. I don't know about Huguenot and Hannah. I haven't checked up there, but there should be some schools showing up. But if not, just hit Jack's Beach on the outgoing tide and you'll probably find all you need. All sizes. There's big ones, small ones. I like the medium ones, the size of about a dime or a nickel. If they're a quarter, I don't really like using them. The stingrays love them that size. And if you've never used sand fleas, and you start using them, you'll realize real fast. Okay, cool. Heck yeah, Shane, that's what I'm talking about. If you've never used big sand fleas before, you'll realize that the big stingrays love them. You know, the 50, 60 pound stingray range. Lots of sharks in the surf. We've seen quite a few sharks the last week. A lot of 5 and 6 footers, looks like black tips mainly. Cruising the surf looking for food. But yeah, there's fish there, guys. The water today was sort of strange. The clean line in Jack's Beach actually got within, 50, 60 yards off the beach. And then within a matter of an hour, it pushed out several hundred yards with a straight east wind. The east wind was only 10 to 12, and it's real strange. It didn't want to clean up. It wasn't muddy, but it wasn't clean. Definitely fishable, but you know how it goes. When you want pompano and such, you really want that cleaner water. Saw one school of mullet today when I was out there looking. Still a ton if you're looking for ghost shrimp. On the south side of the pier, about 150 yards down, the school has shifted down that way, and literally there are thousands of holes for ghost shrimp. So if you're going to use them, don't forget your bait thread, because if you're trying to throw those jokers without any bait thread, you're going to see your weight going one way, and the shrimp is probably going to go to the right or the left into a waiting mouth of a fish who's not going to get hooked. I was going to talk a little bit about this time of year too, because the water's warming up. It gets really warm in the river as well, but that's not a bad thing, especially if you want to try to catch some snook, guys. This time of year, the surf is real hit or miss, so the river's not a bad option. There's a lot of flounder coming up. I caught that 22.5-inch flounder on artificial on Saturday. No, that was Friday. And then Saturday, I caught a 25.5-inch snook. That was on live shrimp, free line. We're going to talk about that. But basically, if you can find, for the snook, it seems like they really love, you find structure in the river that creates an eddy. They sit behind those eddies. And at night, if you can find any type of structure, docks, anything with a good fish light or LED light, chances are there's going to be a snook around. They have really shown up well in our area. And if you go down to the Volano, St. Augustine area, you're definitely going to see them. I saw one school of about 12 or 14 fish swimming, and there were some massive snook in that school. But this is one of my favorite lures right here, guys. Called a Marker 54 jerk shrimp. They're made out of Texas. As you can see, this joke, it's rigged backwards. So the line is this way. When you jig it, it kicks backwards just like a real shrimp. If you've ever used live shrimp and you see when they're trying to get away from a predator, they kick backwards. And that's how I caught that flounder, and actually missed 2 or 3 more where they grabbed it, and I just was lollygagging, as you say. I wasn't paying attention. I let it hit the bottom, jig it up twice, and repeat. The speckled trout love it. I've caught redfish on it as well. Of course, ladyfish will eat it up too. Have not caught a snook on it yet. I threw at the snook, and he sort of just looked at it, and then I put a live shrimp on, and then bam. And these are the hooks. I started using these last year when I started really going after the snook. Last June, July, and August, I caught over 30 snook. I finally figured it out. Finally realized they're in our area. I'd never really targeted them, and there wasn't much going on in the surf at the time, and I wasn't going to stop fishing. So literally how I stumbled upon them, I was fishing for mangroves and caught some big mangroves. And on my last 2 shrimp of the day, I hooked 2 snook in a row, and both of them busted my line. I was only using like 15-pound leader, and with live bait and a snook, that's not going to work. Now, the lure, people who throw a lot of lures, like I used 15-pound leader with this, and that flounder didn't bite through it because he wasn't hooked on the leader. Same thing with like Eddie Cavler, who's one of the best artificial fishermen in most of Florida, probably. He catches a ton of big snook on lures. It seems like the lures just get on the side of their mouth and the line doesn't rub. But when you're using live bait, inevitably that line rubs along their gills, and if it's not heavy enough, I use 30. That might be overkill, but when I was using, I went up to 20, kept getting broke off, 25, broke off, finally went to 30. started landing fish. The biggest one I caught last year was 35 inches. The week before I caught that, I had 25 pound on, and my buddy Jose, he saw it. I had about a 40-inch snook, and it came off about 5 feet from me because it cut the leader. It wasn't fun. But anyways, these are the hooks. I absolutely love them. They're made by Owner. They call it a K hook. It's almost like a Kale hook, but it's not. And the shrimp, when I hook them in the tail, they swim perfectly with this. And be careful because you'll hook yourself. They're so sharp. But literally every snook I've hooked on it every time right in the corner of the mouth. Almost acts like a circle hook. But that's it. Hopefully that helps. The snook, man, if you've never caught them, they are a blast. You got to get on them fast. If you're around structure, when you first set the hook, you have got to get them out away from that structure, or else you'll be re-rigging and no snook. I saw that snook. I put the artificial out there. He didn't want it. I put the free line live shrimp. If you don't know what free line is, basically I'm just uni-knotting or putting the leader, 30-pound leader to my braid. I only use 12-pound Mamoy. That's what I caught all those snook on last year, even the big ones. They never broke the line. It was always the leader they would break. But that 12-pound, real light, and with just a hook, that way the shrimp can swim around. I pitched it over into the light, and the shrimp, I saw them kick twice trying to get away, and then you feel the thump, and then fish on. Those snook have a relentless thump when they hit it. You'll know. Once you start catching snook, you'll know what it is by the thump. And the way they even hit on the float, sometimes we have to use a float in the area we fish because the shrimp aren't real lively sometimes when we get them. So you got to keep them on that float or else they sink to the bottom, and mangrove snapper will absolutely eat them alive and you'll have no shrimp left. But usually when they hit the float, last year a few times when they hit the float, they hit it so hard it actually smacked the water. Never had a trout hit it that hard or a red, but snook for sure. Also, June 18th, guys. June 18th, barring any no hurricanes out there on top of us, June 18th we'll be meeting 6th Avenue South, which is the location, it was the location of the old Jack's Beach Pier. We'll be having our next seminar, me and Chip, the sinker guy, going over the basics of surf fishing. A lot of new people already. We've had multiple people ask about what our next seminar is. Well, here it is, June 18th. We're also going to talk about how to catch tarpon from the surf, because with the warmer water, it is that time. And once the mullet start running the beach, you're going to have tarpon in shallow pretty much every morning. Especially in Volano area, you get out there early, those tarpon will be rolling right in the surf. And for James, if he's still watching down your way, especially if you go down to Melbourne, when we stayed there a few years ago, we stayed there in July for about, 4 days? And every morning there were tarpon in the surf in the first slough. I mean, every single morning they were rolling within 30 feet of where I was standing. But I didn't bring big enough gear. I just had light spinners, and that wasn't going to cut it with a tarpon. So I didn't even try it. I didn't feel like losing all my braided line. But that's it, guys. June 18th. If you have any questions on how to get there, let me know in the comments. And we look forward to seeing everybody there. Hopefully we'll have some goodies to give away in a raffle. It'll be a surprise. I know we already have some goodies, but you'll have to show up to see. And it's absolutely free. Can't beat free, especially with $5 gas on the way, right, guys? That's all I got. If you live in the Jacksonville area, I believe Rick's Bait and Tackle is the only shop that carries these right now. So if you either go there or you can order them online. Okay, James, that's what I'm talking about. James says he has some goodies for the raffle. We like to hear that. They have a few different colors, but honestly, this color right here is what I've had the best luck with, the more natural color. Last year, I used this in the surf, and in one day, I had fished for about an hour and a half, had my limit of flounder and trout, just throwing artificial. And yet, if anyone who knows me knows I am a live bait guy, but I started using this, and it works really well. Also, I think I got it back in here. Let me see, I got tackle everywhere. I probably need to clean it up so I don't get fish bites. I know Para and a few other people have been using them in the river and catching a lot of flounder on them. They're very durable. And honestly, like for a 2-pack of these, I think it was like $7. So you don't really want to lose them to bluefish. So if there's bluefish around, you don't want to throw that lure. It's a good lure, and the bluefish will bite off the tail, and then you don't have a lure left. So that's my suggestion. If you know there's blues around, you might want to throw something else like a gotcha. And these are really good in the river, using a jig head, just bouncing them off the bottom, flounder eating them up. So get out there and fish, guys. Watch the weather. We'll see what happens this weekend. Won't be a bad thing if we get some good surf and a lot of wind. Let's get some of that sand out of here. And I think they got about 4 or 5 more sections left on the trestle they're using that they used to build the pier from. And then they'll clean out the parking lot, and hopefully the city here in Jacksonville will get on the ball and get something done, somebody to run it, and get the bait shop fixed. Not real sure why they wanted to wait until it was all done to decide all of this stuff, but no comment, right? All right, guys, y'all have a great night. Let's see some reports. If you're not on our Facebook group, Broken Reel 23, we got reports from Flagler, Fernandina, Fort Clinch, sometimes even further south. I know we get some from Daytona as well. What's up, Eli? Hopefully you'll be out there fishing soon, Eli. Hopefully if we get that pier open, if we can get it open by June, man, I can't wait, because the kingfish, they are thick on our beach right now. We've been seeing them skyrocket right off the beach. And if that pier was open, we'd be already catching them right now. I know they're already catching them on Flagler Pier. So when our pier was open, we had days where we were catching 14 or 15 a day out there. And that's a lot of fun. So we'll see. What's up, Joe? You'll have to come back in town. If y'all don't know, Joey, he has an awesome YouTube page as well, much better than mine. He has some big fish. I stay with the little fish. He has all those offshore fish, man. He has some massive catches. Pompano have slowed down, Joe. They are headed up north to the Carolinas for the summer. They're still catching a few. Huguenot, Little Talbot still has some pompano hanging out. One thing you can do, guys, if you don't know it, this time of year as it gets hot, this is usually when their bigger permit hang around in this area around the inlets. A few years ago, around this time, one of my buddies had a 15-pound permit. I believe it was 15 pounds. He thought he had a ray, but it was 15-pound permit. So they're around. I caught mine last November as they're headed back south, but they do make their way up this way. And with this water temperature as fast as it's warming up, that's what's going to happen. Yep, Joey, as soon as you get back, we'll be filming. Hopefully we'll actually have a pier to fish off too. I'll have to show you how those ghost shrimp, man. Those ghost shrimp are an excellent bait. One of my favorite baits now. Wish it didn't take so long for me to figure that out, but that's why in fishing, you can never stop learning, guys. Once you think you have everything figured out, and you realize you don't, right? So with that said, I'm going to get off of here and get ready for another fun day of heat and mowing yards and maybe some fishing. We'll catch y'all later.